What's going on, man?
Hey, welcome back to God's country, huh?
All right, it's been a while.
It has been a while. Apparently, it's been a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I feel like it was just last year that you were here.
Yeah, I think probably last time I was in town was around June or so.
Yeah.
Around June.
So what's been going on? I know a lot of people around here know you because you were really involved during your time here. But just kind of give a introduction of yourself, kind of what brought you here and what's going on.
Yeah, Alex Motter, originally from Belleville, Illinois, played here for 1 year, the 22 through 23 season, and I'm at Clark College right now, going on my second season there. So
what are you studying?
Right now, I'm in nutrition dietetics. I'm working on getting my general transfer degree right now, so just working towards that, and then try to move on to something different after.
Now, did you take classes at all when you were here?
No, I did not. I was thinking about it, but I wasn't too sure how the scheduling would work with everything. But, I mean, now that you guys offer that, I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. So the dietetics thing, that fits right along with kind of what you were getting into. It seems like, flashback to your time here, I think from what I remember, you were all about the fitness, and the dietetics and the nutrition stuff. That's all very important. So that'll probably be a fun and rewarding degree. How's that stuff gone so far?
It's gone pretty well. Just from the time being here with everything, there was always a time I was cooking in the kitchen back at the house, always making up meals, taking up probably half the storage in the fridge and everything. So there wasn't a time I didn't have a break meal in between when I was up here at the facility or anything like that.
Right. So, and I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but so during your time here, we were still at the old building, right? So we hadn't, the compound was under construction, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that. Talk about, your time, what it was like, living with, how many guys did we have there? 12 at that? No, did we have that many at that building?
Oh, I think we had more than that.
Yeah.
I want to say we had the whole team in that house.
Yeah.
We didn't have any. I don't think we had any guys commuting at that time. We did later on the second part of the year, but at the start, I think we had everybody in there.
Yeah. So how was that?
That was interesting. That was interesting for sure. First of all, for it being my first time living on my own, it was interesting as itself. But, also living in a house with about 20, 22 guys, however many we had and everything, it was an adventure, I'd say that. We worked it out. Yeah, everybody kind of had their space. We had a schedule and a system going with everything. So yeah, we got it going.
Yeah, you had a pretty good setup from what I remember. You had one of the individual rooms. Didn't you?
So there was there was three of us that had our own rooms up top. It was me, Owen, and Kavan. We all had our three own up top, and then I think it was Keith. He ended up moving up there. Turned one of the old little spaces. It was one of our storage spaces and everything, and he just turned it into his own room. So he ended up getting his own spot too.
Yeah, I think that building was pretty cool. I loved how you could almost have two completely different levels. You had a kitchen downstairs, you had a kitchen upstairs, you had bathrooms downstairs, you had bathrooms upstairs. So I felt like you guys did have your space, but. I feel like the setup that we have now, and I know you had a chance to just look at it briefly, it's a lot more open. The den, as we called it, was real diced up. It used to be I think at the time, I think it was a doctor's office. Yeah. So, a lot of the rooms were small because they didn't need to be big. You had the communal area for the living room and stuff that you guys definitely turned into a gaming spot. But yeah, man, I remember, just when I would be kind of in and out over there and I would walk in and you guys would all be watching football or something in the main room. Like, honestly, outside of the athletic part and the school part, that's what it's about, man. It's about just hanging out and just enjoying, kind of being able to do whatever you want to do, and whether that's playing PlayStation, you guys almost getting in fights because somebody gets beat or they got
a little chippy.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun group though.
Yeah.
That group was fun. And, this group that we had last year, was incredible, and I think, getting them in this building is just a lot more convenient, really, because we had the pit at the time, right? And, funny story about that. So, that was going to kind of be a long-term thing. We had our housing facility, we had that building there, and Patrick and I were in there giving lessons one day, and I was working, he was working, we had 2 kids waiting, and it was storming, and there was so much water coming down in between those 2 buildings. I'm this is not long term. So we kind of started the search for this place, and this building had sat vacant for years, and I drive by it every day. And I kept telling my wife, I'm like, I think this would be a good fit for us. And she's like, I don't know, it's a church. I don't know how it would be set up. And I'm like, I'm telling you, you've got the Sunday school side, that we can turn into living, and then this side out here that we can turn into hitting and training, and here it is, So the living was interesting. So talk about just kind of your time here with the post-grad program, how you ended up here. This was kind of a out of the box type adventure. A lot of people don't understand the post-grad route. So what was it about this route that was appealing to you? Just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, really. So, really found out about it my senior year. I was looking through a lot of just kind of school opportunities, trying to move on past that next level. I didn't really play much of high school at all. Didn't really get a whole lot of playing time. Most playing time came from summer ball. And if you remember the first guy that was here, Daryl, he was one of my summer ball guys that I played with. And once I saw he moved on here, I was like, what kind of school is this? And I saw a post-grad. I'm like, oh, the post-grad school and everything. And we looked into it, and we're like, oh yeah, this is like, you kind of play, you develop, you don't really lose any time here or anything like that. I was like, sounds pretty nice. Did a little more research into it, kept moving on through there. I mean, I thought it was great overall, just a way to develop. I walked in here, I think it was maybe pushing 180 or so on a good day. And I walked out of here close to 190. So you're constantly putting weight on, you're getting stronger, you're getting bigger, faster. Every day we did something. Yeah. It's very rare that we ever had an off day. So I forget what the field was that we started out with and everything.
I think during that time we were using Mike Miller.
That was it. Yeah. And it was convenient. It was right up the road. So 5-minute drive from here. So we'd go up there. Some of us would even go up there in our free time. Like if we had something going on or stay after. I know sometimes, when Patrick was here, he'd stay after with some of us and hit ground balls. Even whenever we couldn't get into the Doty building down below too, right down the road, I'd grab one of the catchers, either whether it was Tanner or Jacob or one of those guys. We'd go out there, throw a bullpen. All the other guys would join along too. So
we so since then we've moved kind of away from Mike Miller. We kind of got our own spot now. And have you seen that field?
I have not. I don't think I will be able to now. It's a little dark out.
No, that we don't have lights yet. But no, it's so it's right on the campus of Christian Fellowship, private school, and they hadn't used it for years. Once again, so we're trying to take these facilities that aren't being utilized in the community and bring them back to life, and so we kind of took over that field, and man, it's pretty nice now. I mean, I think we put 42 tons of dirt, like nice material down. It still probably needs another truckload just because it was a field. I mean, literally it was all grass. We had to shape it. We had to go out there. We had spray painted lines, to look at the widths and stuff and the lines and stuff, and sod cut it out, put the dirt down. But yeah, man, we've had a couple leagues out there to utilize that field. The guys practiced out there. The youth teams use it. So it's still a pretty good setup. But yeah, so kind of going back to your playing days here. I think that's one of the biggest benefits is a guy that doesn't get opportunities in high school. Whether it's injuries, depth, whatever it may be, to come here. And you play. Like, you're not coming here to not play and not get opportunities. And, we keep a low roster. I think I referenced it earlier, but I think we had maybe 13 or 14 guys on your roster.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're playing double headers, so everybody's playing.
Yeah.
You know, you have 24-hour access at snap.
Mm-hmm.
Now they got a little weight room here.
I saw that. I wish we would have had that at the time.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good setup, and I'm proud of you, man. I think that you really made the most of your time here. You know, you worked when other people weren't, and, you know, you had a good group of guys around you that were working hard also, but man, I'd be in here doing lessons and you'd be in here. And then, you know, you developed a pretty good relationship with Carter McKinney, who we had in here last week. And I think you guys were throwing plow balls and stuff together.
Me and Carter were doing a little bit of everything. There probably wasn't a day that went by that we didn't see each other up here, or we weren't texting each other like, hey, you want to go use hit tracks? You want to do this? We were always throwing, hitting, doing something, just try to improve and get better. So yeah,
and that's what it takes. You know, you're taking a gap year, right? So it's extremely important that you make the most of every opportunity that you have, and I feel like you did. And now look at you, you know. So you're in your second year, first playing year, right? Because you had an injury, right? So talk about school. Where's it at? What are you doing?
Clark College out in Vancouver, Washington area. I mean, it's definitely a change versus Midwest, Illinois, where I'm from, and definitely this part of Kentucky right here. You got used to playing in the rain is the only thing I can say. It's going to rain.
Yeah.
It's going to rain.
You guys got turf?
So, no, we don't. We're actually one of the very few teams that don't have turf.
That's tough.
Well, we have dirt. I'm actually okay with it. I like it. I'm not a turf kind of guy. I mean, it looks nice, but I'd rather play on dirt any day. Yeah. I grew up on it. I always want to play on it.
Yeah.
So we get a new truckload about every year. We'll go out there, spread it, do whatever we need to do, get it nice and ready for the season. But yeah, I mean, out at school, it's definitely a change. You're leaving this place, so you kind of. I think the biggest change was trying to manage school on top of baseball at the same time. Our coaches do a pretty good job of telling us, like, hey, you guys are going to have practice at this time. You guys are going to have weights at this time. So it's pretty easy. What's nice about the school is they offer 3 different types. You can take a full in-person, a hybrid, which is a mix of online and in-person, or you can just do online. Yeah. So there's a few classes some of our guys take, though, like if you're a math kid and you struggle with it, you're like, well, I got to go in person. I can't do it online. You can offer that opportunity. Yeah. So you can go in. There's about 12 different times in the day you can take a class, get it over with. So yeah. But it's definitely nice to have like the guidance of like, hey, you guys are going to be doing this at this. You guys are going to be doing this at this time. So if you have a class and you're like, well, I got to be there, they're like, go to your class. Yeah. Your school is first. So go to your class first. Come to practice after. If not, you can always work in. What's nice is our new coach. He's our new third base coach. He's also our strength and conditioning coach. So after, if we have anything, whenever he's not doing his other lessons up at our facility Utmost and everything, we'll have some guys that will work with him on the field, in the cage, anything that they need to work on. So he was a previous player there too, so he's got a good relationship with the coach and how the whole program works.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think, something you kind of said there, learning how to balance baseball and school, so kind of flashback to whenever I was coaching at the junior college level, you're recruiting guys and you're trying to sell them on that route. And really post-grad is no different in that, that transition from high school to college it's a big one. Because you've got so many different variables that now you have to balance and you're kind of sink or swim, you're there. Yeah. So either you do it or you don't, and I think you came here and you kind of got acclimated to living on your own, but you were only balancing that with baseball, right? So that made that transition a little bit smoother, right? So then you go from here to a junior college, that transition is going to be smoother than if you would have just went straight to a 4-year school, and that piece of it is important. And I think that's what causes a lot of guys to say, screw it, I'm going somewhere else, or I'm done because this is too much. But when you introduce just a little bit over time, that transition isn't as bad. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm glad that you said that. So kind of talking about the program, obviously I don't know much about it. That is, I think you might be the furthest signee that we have had, and it's crazy to think that a kid from Belleville, Illinois came to Calvert City, Kentucky, and now you're in Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think about that really and try to wrap your head around that. That's insane. Yeah. And I'm thankful that little old Calvert City could be, a stepping stone out there. And I think, a lot of times people don't realize in this community, there are people coming from all over the world to use this place as a stepping stone to the next phase. So you go from Belleville, Illinois to Calvert City to Vancouver, Washington. So talk about that lifestyle. So you come here, it was probably pretty similar to home.
Very similar.
So how is it living in Washington?
I mean, the culture there is just a huge change.
Yeah.
It's just kind of something new acclimating to. It's really no way to describe it. It's just kind of like a feel and an experience. You're kind of looking at it and you're like, it's not similar to the Midwest. Very different. I mean, I love it out there. It's nice. Great area and everything. But it's one of those things where you're just out there and you're like, this isn't really used to home. So it's a bit of a change versus out here where I'm only a couple hours away. So
yeah,
weather's not too different. Environment's not different at all. But out there, I mean, like I said earlier, you just got used to the rain. And it rains so freaking much there.
Yeah, I bet.
It rains, man. It rains.
So do you like it? I mean, do you like being out there?
Yeah, it's nice. One of the nicest things about it is from our field, we got little mountain ranges in the back and everything. So you stand right on a home plate. You can kind of see it all back there. So it's a nice little view.
Yeah.
One of the things I started doing was whenever I gave visits to a kid, one of my roommates, actually, he's from Ohio. And I told him, I was like, well, you guys might like this one because I know we don't see it back in the Midwest is you got mountain ranges right out there.
Yeah.
And something new I found this year, we got another one, big one, Mount Hood out there. And you can see it from our outfield. So I was like, it's pretty sweet to have.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys, I mean, this probably seems like a random question, but do you guys ever hike and stuff in the mountains?
It's pretty tough too.
Yeah.
We're usually about 7 days a week in the fall. Spring, we get a little more break and everything. It's kind of usually the best time to do it too. It's not as bad because our fall, we're just go.
Right.
We're constantly doing everything. I know some of the guys went on hikes last year and everything and they loved it. And I see pictures of it all the time. I'm like, I gotta go. I just haven't gone yet. Definitely visit a lot of cool tourist sites and everything though, waterfalls, little ranges and all that. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I've never been west of Nebraska. So
there's a whole new world.
Right. That's what I hear. I think I would kind of like to go see like Yellowstone. And I think it's mainly, honestly, I think it's because of the show, right
there with you.
Yeah, I think that stuff would be cool. I think, seeing the Grand Canyon and stuff like that would be cool. I don't know that I will ever make it to the West Coast. That is, I mean, I don't know. You never know what's going to happen, but I've never been out that way. I can only imagine the difference just in the landscape and everything.
So here's what I tell a lot of people. They're like, how is it out there? And I'm like, it's hard to describe, but I'm like, you ever seen the Goonies? That's the easiest way to describe it. You see the houses, like everything out there. That's the best way. Nothing has changed out there.
Yeah.
Because when I first moved out there, we were looking up places to go look at. And I'm about 2 hours from the coast. I'm not far at all. And there's a town, it's Astoria. And we're like, no way we're that close to it. From the movie and everything. We saw the house. Goonies
no
house,
kidding.
All that. Yeah, it was really cool.
I didn't even realize that it was based out there.
Yeah, that's what I didn't realize it either. I didn't know it at all. Because I got out there, my parents were helping me out there for about a week or so before they went back and everything. And they're like, let's go see if there's anything cool out here. Ended up going shoreline, saw that, and we're like, oh, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good tourist sites and everything, but kind of going back to describing the area of it, I mean, you just watch that movie. If you've seen any type of movie that's based out that way, it's just about how it is.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's really cool.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. I had no idea that the Goonies was based out there, but
yeah, we saw the Haystack Rock, I think is what it's called, their house. And it's actually funny. We were talking to the people that went out there that actually own the house. They live in that house now. So they kind of rented it out, or not really rent it, but they have the split, they have the space and everything. So they're like, as long as you guys aren't like wrecking the property, yeah, you guys come up and everything. They have signs everywhere, so
Right.
they're awesome.
So do you get to come home very often? I mean,
Not really.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough. Drive is pretty far.
Right.
So that's one thing.
What is it? What is the drive?
So it's about 30-hour drive.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So did you fly in for Christmas or did you drive?
No, I flew in. Yeah, my car's been out there since, what is it, 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, been out there since 23 of last year and everything. Yeah. So, yeah, I've just been flying in everywhere and everything. Me and my dad packed up my car with about as much as we could and drove out there. I'll tell you, you know what? I tell people this now, like 30 hours, that's a while. And I'm like, it really wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. I mean, once you get through, I think it was Nebraska that we went through. Right once we got through Nebraska and partially through Wyoming, I'm like, this really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty scenic on the way through. Wyoming was actually pretty nice to drive through.
Yeah.
There were certain parts that we drove through and we're just like, it's a little dry here. But once you got throughout that, our best stop that we made was Boise.
Yeah.
My dad wanted to go to Boise. We had to go through it anyway. He wanted to see the blue field.
Yeah.
And we got there. So that was pretty cool.
Boise. Yeah. So that was where Tanner was from.
Yes.
Idaho, right? Yeah. And I remember we'd always give him a hard time saying I didn't even know people lived in Idaho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I drove right through his hometown on the way there.
No kidding.
Yep, right through.
So do you still talk to those guys?
I talked to Tanner pretty vaguely. We're on and off and everything.
Yeah.
I just talked to Teagan about a month or two ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys I don't really communicate with anymore.
Yeah.
We've all got our own schedules going on. A lot of us are still playing. So we're just trying to manage that and just kind of squeeze in whenever.
Is Teagan still playing?
I think so. So Teagan actually went to Lewis and Clark, which is about, I want to say 30 minutes from where I live, my hometown and everything. So he was pretty local. And I think he moved on to an NAIA somewhere. I'm not sure what the school is called. Yeah. It's kind of funny because I found a new training program back home, Maximized Pitching Lab. And the kid I trained with there, I saw he was at Lewis and Clark, and I was like, "Did you play with Teagan?" And they go, "Yeah, how'd you know him?" I was like, "I played with him in Kentucky and everything before he came to Lewis and Clark."
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's still going. I know Tanner's still up in Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Owen's playing back in Canada right now.
Yeah, I guess Tanner must be doing a pretty good job because their coach contacted me. And basically asked if we had any other guys. And you know, that's huge, man. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, as a program, whether it's a junior college or a post grad, I mean, you have to kind of pride yourself on the kids that you put out. And really it's the same way at the high school level. You know, these kids move on to the next level and they represent your program. Yeah. And, you know, guys like you and Tanner worked extremely hard. Mm-hmm. Teagan's story is pretty awesome because he quit, right?
Yeah,
he was done completely.
For about like a year or two or something.
Yeah. And then he just decided he wanted to play.
Oh, he went off.
I remember. My gosh.
It was our first time. I think it was our first game or first series. And it was against Spoon River, and I think he batted like 350 that week. Yeah. He went off, and he had a home run and everything. It's probably one of the farthest I've seen hit. On the other dugout over at Kraken and everything. I was like, all right, dude came to play today. Yeah, and that place is huge. McCracken's field it's huge, massive. and it plays really big. I mean, I don't know that I've seen any home runs there. I don't think I've seen any. I think he was the only one that had one that entire series that we played, because we played 4 games against him. Yeah, I think he was the only one that had one.
Yeah, that was over 2. We did like a 2-day deal.
Yeah,
with
it was like 2 days or something.
Yeah. He was very athletic. Yeah, and Tanner gained a ton of weight.
Tanner put on a lot. Tanner changed probably the most out of anybody, I think. Yeah, Tanner changed a lot. Yeah, but I mean, he was the same way. He was in here working all the time and everything. Yeah, I know. Whenever Will's kind of had his older kids. He's like, hey, you want to catch a lesson? He'd pop in, be here for about 5-10 minutes, however long you needed him. It's still getting him reps and everything like that, too. Yeah. Good group, man. Oh, yeah.
You know, I think it's crazy to think that was 2 years ago, though. I know. You know, when I'm sitting there talking to you, I'm like, man, so were you here last year? No, man, it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That's crazy. So we actually didn't have a team this year, you know, because Bryce left at Christmas last year to go to Wabash, and it was way too tough to recruit a team, but we're back at it this year. So I think, you know, and especially with how things are going with the ruling and stuff with the kid with junior college and the eligibility stuff. I think when COVID hit, it caused a logjam, and I think that this is going to do the same thing and really just prolong that whole process. So I think there's going to be a lot of kids that need a place to play and that can play that don't have a home. So we'll be there for them, and hopefully help that process. But they had a good year last year. Won some games, and it was good, man.
I mean, they moved on to a lot of good schools from what I remember. Yeah, they had a lot of guys going on.
Yeah, it was going good. So talk about Coach Wills. So he was my first guest on the pod. Good friend of mine. I thought he did a great job with the post grad. So talk about that. Talk about when he reached out to you and the recruiting process, and then playing for him. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, Wills is awesome, dude. He is a great dude. And I think I first communicated with Wills whenever I was trying to reach out with the program, just kind of understand like, hey, what really is post grad and everything. Mm-hmm. That led into me visiting down here. I forget who you guys were playing. I think it was Shawnee at the time. Mm-hmm. We came down here, checked everything out, got to meet some of the guys, see what was going on here. Wills kind of showed me around, gave me the rundown, and I was like, "That's what's up." And he was telling me he's like, "This is what we do. We're here at practices. We got this. We got weights. The guys go here. We got conditioning. We got everything that you should be doing." Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, he's got a system going. And then he told me, he was like, yeah, I was at SIC I think he was there for like 3 years or so.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years.
Somewhere around there, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he told me he was a pitching coach too. He was a pitcher. And it was awesome because coming here, I was transitioning. I was trying to be a pitcher. I was really wanting to work on that more and more. I never pitched in high school. Yeah. So I was really? No. Never threw one inning in high school. Wow. And that was actually a great step for me too, being here, because it allowed me to develop so much of that and everything. Yeah. But I mean, going back to Wills though, I mean, Wills always worked with me. He worked with all of us, but there wasn't a time where I wouldn't text him and be like, hey man, like, can we go up? You got time or anything like that? And he's like, I got a lesson at this time. He's like, you can jump in right next to me, 'cause you guys got the 3 lanes right there. And I'd get my stuff in on the other side. Or even if we're down at the Doty building and everything, he's like, yeah, hop in and we'll work on some stuff while we're there. So it was constant. He was always willing to help us out.
So are you POing now?
Yep. Yeah, I hung up the bat, sitting on the wall right now.
Man, that's crazy.
I haven't swung a bat probably since I was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels so odd, man.
So they're Jack's bud again. I referenced him earlier. He was here last year. He did the same thing. He came here. And he was doing pretty good, playing a little infield, playing some outfield, hitting, and then I think it was Wills dropped him down to Submarine, and he really liked it.
Was he a sub guy?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He didn't start that way,
really?
But he's doing it now, and he's doing pretty good, man. He's at Arkansas Pine Bluff now. Rich Mountain. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And, he's doing it. He's POing. I think he misses hitting. But, it is what it is. I think once you buy into that PO role and understand what it takes to truly do that successfully, it takes a lot of time, to make sure that you're staying, your flexibility, you're doing your plyos, you're doing, flat ground work, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So looking at that, looking at the outlook for the season, how are y'all going to be?
I think we were pretty solid. We lost a lot of guys last year and everything. Just about all of them moved on next level and everything. So, but we got a pretty good class coming in. Even a lot of the guys we have now, we have, I think, returning pitchers. We had about 10 or so, I want to say, if I'm just guessing. So a lot of guys with experience still. So, I mean, we're all ready to go. We've played great. Our last few games, I think we mercy ruled a lot of them. I could be wrong, but, I mean, I just know we came back, we were ready to play. Yeah. So, and that's what I love about that is, we're just ready to go. Yeah. So, I mean, our first game, I think, the 27th is less than 2 months now. So, and I haven't played in person actual game situation where it wasn't a scrimmage. I'd say probably last time I was here, maybe in the summer. So I'm like, I was talking to my dad about that today, and I'm like, dude, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, I'm ready. So I'm fired up.
So it was your meniscus?
Yeah.
So how'd that happen?
So I faced it, honestly, while I was here. I felt kind of odd, but I just thought it was just growing pains or something like that. Or I just strained a muscle. I just let it go. And kept kind of carrying on more and more. And I was throwing a bullpen one day, and I was like, felt really like tight, and I kind of felt like a strain. So I took about a week off, let it rest, did PT, all this other stuff, and started back up again. I'm like, okay, this one really hurts. This one really hurts. And I called my dad, and I was like, hey, something's messed up. We got to get an MRI as soon as we can. And he was like, all right, we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can get you in. So we go in, and they look at me, and they go, so you got a torn meniscus. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And I was supposed to leave a month for school, a month out, and I was supposed to leave. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So he goes, here's what's funny about it, though. He's like, you're not going to get hurt. Like, you're already hurt. You can keep playing if you want to, because it's not, like, as serious. So I was like, all right, let's see what we can do, and just kind of fought through it for about a game or two. And I remember it was the last game I played, and I popped one up, infield fly out, and I'm jogging down the line. My dad goes, you look like you're done. I'm like, dude, I'm done. I'm like, we're sitting on this one. I was like, I can't run anymore. My leg's just like, you got to stop at this point. Yeah. So, but I faced that. I had my surgery, I want to say August or so. Fought back hard, man. It was a grind to get back. I was in the PT room just about every day. I was trying to build as much strength as possible. I was already familiar with it. About 6 years ago, I had ACL surgery too. So I was kind of still building strength from that. So I was pretty familiar with all the stuff that had to go into it. But I think I came back, I want to say my first inning was in a scrimmage. I want to say November. It was October, early November. Definitely rough. So just not where I wanted to be. But yeah, fighting through that was a challenge. It really tested me mentally, physically with everything. Because I got to the point to where I'm like, I'm actually doing pretty well. And that's what led into my coaches. So like, well, we can play you, but we want to make sure you're 100%. So.
Yeah. Was it the same knee that you, no kidding.
I had 2 surgeries on it. Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough. And you kind of talk about the mental struggles of the injury, different. Any college athlete, any athlete at really any level, the mental aspect of an injury is honestly one of the toughest because in your mind, you're ready to go and your body just simply is not, and I think because I had a hip injury, I actually had a few different injuries. But the big one that I had was my hip, and it was like an 8-month recovery period. And you talk about brutal, man. Like I was having to get help to get in and out of the shower, to get dressed. Yeah. I mean, it is tough.
It was.
And, you have to humble yourself. You have to ask for help getting around and stuff, especially right off of surgery. And, it's tough, man, when you're seeing everybody else getting better and getting fired up for games and stuff. And you're just sitting there, and I think the biggest thing is you have to find a way to be involved. So like for me, I was the PA guy. I would run music at practice.
That's my job. Yeah. That was my job at the time too.
You have to, man.
You have something.
You have to do something to keep you locked in and to help you kind of feel like you're still part of the team, And like I would text guys at like 9 o'clock, hey bro, I need your walkout song or you're not going to have one tomorrow, And then I'd have other people text me, hey man, here's my walkout song, And like for me mentally, it helped me stay engaged. And, I loved it. If I was going to be the PA guy, I was going to be the best freaking PA guy possible, And so, yeah, man, I'm proud of you for pushing through that. I'm anxiously waiting for you to play too, because man, the first time you walk out on the mound, you're going to have like some jitters,
but
you're
so ready to go though. Dude. Yeah. I told my dad, I'm like dying for some live ABs. I can't wait. I'm already in bullpens right now, but I'm like, some live ABs are going to be so different. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is just kind of mentally pushing past it. What you're saying is because there's times where I think I was about a month out, and I was going into like I could start running, I could start jogging, doing some light stuff, and you just kind of like you got to find your rhythm. You're like, oh wow, I'm feeling really good today, and you just want to go deadbolt sprint. You just can't.
You can't.
You can't do anything. I remember the first time my coach kind of got mad at me for it, and we were doing like our 4T drill and everything, our little infield drill. Well, our first basemen are throwing them off to the side and everything, so they're like, hey, go pick him up. I took the bucket out there, and we're all trying to get a tempo going. And this was, at this point, I was about a little bit into jogging. That's when I got the okay to start jogging. And I get all the way down to first. I take 2 steps, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, why are you running? I'm like, I'm trying to make myself, like, useful. I'm, like, trying to do something. They go, no. Hand it off. They had another guy come over, and they're like, you can take the bucket back. They're like, you're not doing anything. Like, go sit there, watch.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing any of this. I was still, I mean, I get it, coaching's perspective. You want to have your guys healthy.
Yeah.
I had the A-OK for about a month or 2 after, and they're still like, you're not doing this drill.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing this. And I was like, all right. So I just took a lot of time to build back, because even I was cleared. I think I was cleared after like 3 months. It wasn't too long of a recovery.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still talking 6 months in, and they're just like, hey, we still want you healthy. Like, you're not doing this or this or this.
Yeah, and I think just the nature of our sport, especially like with arm injuries and stuff, you start to feel a lot better before you are ready, and like whether it be an elbow, shoulder, whatever, the inflammation dies down, and then all of a sudden you think you're better, and then you go out and wing one, and it's, you're right back. You're right back where you were. And I think one of the most challenging injuries that I have seen currently is concussions, because you feel like you're a lot more prepared than what you are. And, have you ever had a concussion?
I have not.
So I did whenever I was 13. So I don't really remember a whole lot. I remember I was really sleepy, but like the disorient, everybody's situation is different, but like just being disoriented and that sort of stuff, it's scary, man, because you're walking around and you think you're completely fine, then something happens and you're like, oh my God, and I think that has been one of because there's no visual signs typically, you find out you got a concussion, and then all of a sudden, you have all these symptoms, but yeah, man, I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be,
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Well, you've earned it. Yeah. I will say that. I mean, that's, and to hear you talk about like your high school days and the limited opportunities, and to hear that you're excelling now is awesome. So are you thinking, have your coaches kind of communicated, are you thinking that you'll close, maybe you be a reliever?
So they talked to me about being a relief guy, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure where I would fall in. I knew starting would be kind of a weird option. I always kind of grew up as being a starter. Whenever I started pitching young age, even here, I started a lot. I never relieved, from my knowledge. But yeah, they kind of told me, they're like, hey, you're going to be a relief guy. Yeah. So whatever you're doing in your pins or anything, just let it go. Like, let it rip. Like, just show them what you can do. So that definitely felt awesome to do. Just go out there. You didn't have to worry about situations. You're just showing them what you got.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think, you're only as good as your bullpen. And that's at every level possible. Everybody wants to be a starter, right? At the end of the day, you're only as good as your bullpen. Yeah. And, from what I remember, your command, you had great command. And, after just kind of sitting here, I remember that now. I remember talking to Wills and him saying that you had never pitched. And so I think for you to be a college pitcher now says a lot about your work ethic, about about working with Coach Wills and kind of getting you prepared for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm excited, man. I can promise you this. I will not make any games out in Vancouver, Washington, but I will definitely be following along.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's been a grind, really, with a lot of that, because going back like with high school and everything, I mean, I never really started pitching until my senior summer. And that was even before I came right out here. I had like a partial tear in my UCL and everything. So I was scared to get like into pitching again, because I was like, I don't want to blow this out.
Yeah.
And I was cut my junior year, and I didn't really play a whole lot my senior year. So I was like, we'll see what we got here. and it was the summer of 22, and we were running out of pitchers in my summer league. And a guy, our pitching coach, looks at me. He goes, "You want to throw? Like, we don't have much of an option. You just want to go out there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, see what we can do." Threw one inning. I don't really remember how it goes, but I remember he looked at me after and he goes, "Yeah, you're going to be pitching a lot more for us from now on." I was like, "Awesome, I'll take it."
Yeah. So were you at Belleville East or West?
I was at East.
East.
Yeah, I was at East.
So that's a pretty big school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I remember I tried recruiting some kids from there.
Oh, really?
Just off and on, just that area.
Okay.
I didn't have much luck out there though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those guys wanted to stay like at Slick or at Swick, or just stay a lot closer. But they're good.
They are.
I mean, it's that area is always there's always a lot of talent.
I'll tell you, Swick has stepped up. I was always told, like, don't go to Swick. They're not that good. They're not great. They're not anything special. I was told that forever. And I started following them more, even while, like, I really started looking at it once I got here. I was like, these guys are pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was probably just the perspective that it was coming from, because as a coach, they were never, like, bottom of that conference of the GRAC. I mean, they were always pretty solid. Like Coach Fiala, who was there for a long time, did a great job there, and he was there for a long time, or at least I'm pretty sure he was. I'd have to look and see how many years he was there. But Coach Garsh, that's there now.
Yeah,
he's the real deal. Because I met him whenever he was at Parkland, and they were good. Parkland was really good.
Yeah,
and so I knew when he got that job at Swick that they were gonna come up.
I really got the big idea of what Swick was. I remember I was in here. I was waiting for Will's. He had a lesson and everything. And it was Will Hanna. He walked in, and he's wearing a blue Storm shirt. And I'm like, "What are you?" I was like, did you go to school there? And he goes, "Yeah, how do you know?" And I'm like, "I'm from there. I went to East." And I was like, "Where were you at?" And he goes, "I was staying in these apartments right here." And I'm like, "Dude, you lived like literally down the road from me." I was like, "You lived probably 100 yards from me for your 2 years that you were there, or 1 year, however long he was there."
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, like, really just know that, because I'm like, like, you lived in my town. So, like, me and him related to a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
And he gave me the rundown. He's like, "Yeah, this is what Swick does." And that's when I got that opening. I was like, "Oh, so they are pretty, like, big deal."
Yeah.
Because I was like, our school, like, nobody really in my area, I'll be honest, like, really talks about Swick that much, like Swick baseball, like, really any sports, unless it's like big Power 5 Division 1 or anything like that. Like, Swick's not really talked about that much.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks, but.
Yeah. So for anybody that's listening and doesn't know what Swick is, it's Southwestern Illinois College, and Division I JUCO in the GRAC. And yeah, man, it's crazy. And I think you get that a little bit with every one of those schools in that conference. And I think you get that. I mean, that may be kind of universal. You got a lot of kids, a lot of talented kids in that area that may even overlook it. And, I know you got a lot of kids there that want to go to those schools, just like you have a bunch of kids in Carterville that want to go to John A. Logan, and Mount Carmel that want to go to Wabash Valley and stuff like that. But I think you got some that overlook it because it's local. They've been around it their whole life, and it's not something necessarily that they value because it's so convenient. And it is dude, all those schools in the GRAC are solid.
Oh,
they're
awesome.
Solid programs.
When we played Ren Lake, I was like, this is some good comp, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first, I think Ren Lake was the first GRAC school we played.
Yeah.
I think the first JUCO we played was Spoon River, but the first GRAC conference school was Ren Lake. I think they were the only one.
Did we play SIC or no?
No, we did play SIC. Yeah, we played in the fall. Yeah, we played SIC, and then we played one other school.
Shawnee.
Yeah, we did play Shawnee.
Yeah.
We played Shawnee quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. Well, they're close.
Yeah, they are.
They're really close.
Hour and a half from here, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, kind of going back to what I was talking about with the convenience, I think I see a lot of that with the post-grad here.
Yeah.
A lot of kids don't truly understand what it is. And part of that may be a marketing issue on my part of not really getting it out there. But having this close is a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got kids coming from the Dominican Republic, you got kids coming from Idaho, you got kids coming from New York to Calvert City. It's a big deal, and it's just, I think a lot of people just don't understand it, and that's fair. I mean, it's new, but I think it's going to continue to grow. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, so are you following this ruling that they, with the,
and I've heard so many different stuff with
so
it's weird.
So this is the latest. So I kind of touched on that. I kind of talked about it a little bit with Carter, and my original understanding was that it was circumstantial. Well, almost as soon as I put the podcast out, I saw a press release. I think it was from the NJCAA that basically said that this, or maybe it was the NCAA, that basically said it was circumstantial. It was particular. It was specific to that one player, that one quarterback.
That's how it started. Yeah.
Really and so what it said was, my understanding now is that if you're currently in junior college, then they'll look at it at a case by case. Yeah. Essentially.
The post that I first saw on that, because I was like, well, it was actually one of my teammates sent it all out to us, and he's like, guys, look at this. I'm like, there's no way this is true. And the headline was, the first original headline I saw was players that play at a JUCO level and then transfer to D1 will still have like all their eligibility still. It's all gone.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no way this is true. And then I saw it's any NCAA, like any NCAA level. So I was like, it's still wild. And then the latest one that I saw too, they were talking about players that played last year and even players that are enrolled this year going into that 24-25 season doesn't really affect them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's still a lot of questions around it, a lot of uncertainty. I think you're going to have a lot of, it's going to continue to come up, because I think you're going to have a lot of people like your seniors, that are fighting to hang on, and so I think we'll see in the coming months, probably at the end of this year, when this starts to become more popular, I think we'll just kind of see how it ends up, but for guys like you and guys like Carter, and the JUCO Bandits, it could be huge a game changer, and like I was talking with him, it's going to be very tough for high school kids. And that's why I do think that, it's going to be more important now than ever that they really push themselves and the overall physicality of it. Like, a lot of physical development happens in a year, and that process needs to start a little bit sooner, because you're going to be getting to school with guys that are 3 years older than you, right out of the gate. So, something else I kind of wanted to talk about. So you moved out of the den.
I did.
Was it at Christmas?
It was kind of right before break. I moved all my stuff out, and then I basically took it home with me because I wasn't going to be living there because I made room for our Australian guy we got.
Yeah.
So he was going to get my room, so I took as much as I could, and then I left him some stuff, whatever he wanted or that I didn't need.
Yeah.
And then I moved in with the Bar Gibson family through January till, I think we were here till, was it April or so?
Yeah.
And I lived with them for about 4 months or so. So that was pretty awesome.
So kind of talk about that because, Miss Tania has supported us a lot throughout the years, whether, it was bringing the kids in for lessons or, they've made donations to the program. They've housed guys.
Yeah.
And that is such an awesome, awesome thing. And, you got guys coming from all over the world, and to open your home to those guys is such a blessing. Mm-hmm. So just kind of talk about that, about, how it was staying with those guys. They've got a bunch of kids, great kids, athletic. So just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the biggest thing was adjusting to being in somebody else's home. I've never lived with anybody else. I've always been home because even moving into the den was my first time on my own. So then going from that to living under somebody else's roof and everything was huge. because I had to adjust to like how they are, like their rules that they have for all of us. You got to respect the rules that they live by, everything there. I mean, having the kids there were awesome. Like, still see them all the time. I mean, I'm visiting with them. That's kind of how I ended up down here. I haven't seen them in over a year. I think it's like a year and a half was the last time. I was like, hey, I got these days open. Like, you guys doing anything? I'm like, no. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a trip down here. So it's really convenient. I've talked to them even since I left. She'll even shoot me a text. She's like, hey, kids are wanting to know how you're doing and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. So, but yeah, having the kids there, mostly with them all being athletes too, is awesome. So they're all playing. I think two of them, Jackson and Weston, I think they're playing football now for Marshall. I'm not sure.
Yes, I think I don't know about Jackson, but I know Weston is.
Yeah. But with them doing that, I mean, they're playing basketball, and then Paxton, Peyton, whenever they played baseball and everything, I mean, they're always doing something. Like the first thing we did, I came back last night, and they're like, we're going to play mini hoop or the little basketball court they got. And I was like, all right, let's go. Yeah. Let's do it. So it was awesome. Yeah, always being active with them. I mean, they were a great family. Yeah. Still talk to them to this day and everything. So
yeah, I think, hopefully as the program grows, we can get more families to do that because, just kind of hearing you talk about it, I think it's good that families understand the impact that has. And, I think this community, our community, Marshall County, and surrounding counties, there are so many good people. And, talking about Calvert City, Casey Brown, was he here with you or was he after?
I think he was.
Because he was only here for a semester. So he might have been here last year. I think he might have been here one semester last year.
Because he went to IU Southeast, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he was here last year.
Yeah. He's coming on the pod, I think, maybe in a couple days.
Okay.
And he's got an interesting story because, when the community takes you guys in, it makes me happy. Seeing you guys working in the community, being involved, helping out with the youth teams. I know you did that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Working with Clay and his guys and everything. Yes. It was awesome.
Man, that to me is what it's all about. Yeah. It's all about putting people around these kids that inspire them, that's helping them get to the next level, that's making sure that they have fun. That's slept on. At the end of the day, it's about making sure that these little guys and the girls now, because we have softball, are having fun, that they're enjoying the game, that they see there's a future in the game, and just putting the best young men around these kids that we possibly can. And in the same way that the Bar Gibson family impacted you impacted those kids as well, I'm sure. And everybody around them, everybody that you interacted with. So,
I mean, it kind of goes back to not being able to come home too often either. I mean, I think it's like 2,200 miles away from home. Yeah. Pretty far drive, pretty long flight. I'll tell you that. Kind of found my family out there. Shout out to the Langworthy family. They're awesome. It was one of my buddies, Taylor, and he was like, hey, you want to come home with us for Thanksgiving and everything? And
that's
awesome.
Like,
yeah, because I was like, I'm not going home because our coach asked us, like, who's not going? And I'm like me and my roommate. My roommate was from Hawaii too, and I'm still with him now.
Wow.
So we're like, yeah, we're not going home. Like we can't do that. Yeah. So I went home with him, and his family was awesome. So I mean, being there with the Bar and Gibson family kind of allowed me to feel more comfortable when I went home with him and his family and everything too. Yeah. And I mean, I just went back again with him for a second year and everything. So, and I'll see him out at the games and everything. It's just the same way I would here. Yeah. See him, they're like, hey, how you guys doing? And all that. It's just kind of like being a part of their family too. So right. It's awesome. I mean, and that's kind of how we relate to it. And I mean, we try to spread the word with everything. I mean, I know this is a huge community with this stuff and everything. Like we go around and like, you want the Post Grad guys? Or I'm like, yeah. Or we'd be out places. They'd see Rattlers on there. Like, you play up there? And I'm like, yeah, we do. Yeah. I'd even hear the high school guys talk about it and everything too. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to let a lot of people know that we're a good program. I mean, we went to playoffs last year. We didn't do very good, but we kind of struggled a little bit. I mean, we had a great year, but playoffs, we just didn't play our best. We didn't play what we could do. And it was just one of those games, kind of hurt us, but move on to it for this year. Yeah. But I mean, we're just trying to show people that like, hey, we got a team and we're really good. I mean, I first got the shock of, I think it was a Target, and I was wearing like I don't have it on now. I should have wore it, but I had my Clark shirt on, and they're like, you go there? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm in my uniform and everything, just right out of practice. And she goes, they got a baseball team there? And I'm like, I'm like, they've had one for years. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. People even see it. Like, you play at Clark? And I'm like, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, we really try to spread a lot of that around there too. Just kind of make people aware of everything. Like, hey, because I mean, we got a big campus, but we're not really well known. I mean, maybe we are more than I'm aware of. Yeah. But we have a school out by us. There's Mount Hood, and then there's another one, Lower Columbia. So those schools are kind of like the center stone of everything. Yeah. Just based off what I know about all of it, I'm still learning. But we really want to show, like, hey, this is what our school can do. Yeah. So
I love it, man. I think, you know, it's important that everybody realizes the representation that you have out in the community, you know, and like when you, good or bad, you know, you represent Clark, you know, just like when you're here, you represented Lake area, you know, and I think it's super important, you know, it's important that guys realize that and positively reflect on whatever program they're involved in.
I remember the day I came in here. And you guys remember me sitting there with my computer at that desk or wherever. I'm just like trying to find schools, sending emails, trying to find a next home and everything. Yeah. And I remember it was right after that. And I was like, Tio, I got a visit coming up. You're like, where at? And I'm like, dude, I'm going to Oregon and Washington. And you're like, what are you doing out there? Yeah. Like, I was like, that was right after that and planned it. I think I went out like 2 weeks later. I came back. I'm like, yeah, I'm going there. So I was like, yeah, we're doing it. It's my best option right there. And I was like, that was awesome. So, I mean, like you said earlier, too, with that big jump going from Belleville to here and now out to Vancouver, it's a big jump. But I mean, it worked out well. So,
well, listen, man, I'm thankful for you. Yeah. I think it's been awesome to kind of watch you grow. You know, I wasn't around as much as I wanted to be, but I did get to see you work a lot on your own independently, and I think you have earned every opportunity you've gotten. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see you get back on the field.
Yeah, dude, I'm ready to go. It's been a long time. I'm just ready to go out there, show what I can do.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited to see how your season goes, and I'm proud of you. I think, you know, having guys like you come through this program means the world to me. Yeah. And I'm excited for you, man. I think you're going to have a great year. And it's like we were just talking, you know, when you have that time when you can't play, it kind of reignites the fire that can kind of dwindle over time. And I think you're going to be surprised at how well you're going to do and you're going to come back better, stronger than you've ever been. I'm excited to watch it happen.
Yeah, dude. Ready to get it.
All right, man. Hey, good job.